War had not been kind to the planet Thalvan. Once a world of crystalline rivers and forests that shimmered under 3 suns, it was now scarred black by plasma fire and trenches. The Alliance had claimed it as a strategic hub, and the Dominion wanted it just as badly. And caught between both powers were the natives, the slender, pale-eyed Thalvari, who had never asked to be part of anyone's war. Sergeant Elias Cade had stopped asking why he fought long ago. The human soldier crouched behind a jagged ridge, rifle pressed to his shoulder, armor battered with dents and burns. His squad had been scattered during the last artillery strike. Smoke and dust clogged the air, making the horizon look like a painting smeared in black ash. He wasn't alone. A small figure huddled behind him, trembling, one of the Thalvari. She looked hardly more than 16 by human measure, with thin, crystalline scales running up her arms and cheeks like fragile glass veins. Her silver eyes locked onto Elias with desperate fear. I didn't know where else to run," she whispered, voice sharp with the musical cadence of her people. "The others, my family, they didn't make it." Elias' jaw clenched. He'd seen the Dominion's work before. Civilians reduced to nothing more than a smear of ash. He didn't need to ask. "You'll stay low," he said, keeping his voice calm despite the pounding of artillery in the distance. "I'll get you out. But you're hurt." He glanced down. Plasma burns striped across his side, blood seeping through torn armor. The pain was white-hot, but he forced himself to stand straighter. "I've had worse." The girl blinked at him as if the very concept of surviving worse was alien to her. Maybe it was the beginning of the escape. Elias knew his comms were dead. He couldn't call an evac. He'd have to move by instinct, cutting through Dominion lines with nothing but grit, ammo, and the stubborn refusal to die. He signaled the girl. What was her name? He didn't know. She hadn't said, and he hadn't asked. Names could come later if there was a later. They moved along the ridge, crawling through the dust. Above them, Dominion drones screamed across the sky, scanning the ruins with harsh red beams. Twice, Elias pulled her down just in time as light raked across the stones. When they reached the edge of the ridge, he spotted it. An old supply tunnel dug by Alliance engineers weeks ago, now half collapsed. If they could reach it, they might bypass the Dominion patrols. But between them and the tunnel stretched an open plain of cracked earth. No cover, no shadows, just broken ground littered with the remains of war. The girl's breath hitched. "We'll never make it." Elias smirked, the way only a soldier who'd danced with death too many times could. "That's what they always say." He slung his rifle, pulled a smoke grenade from his belt, and yanked the pin. Thick white plumes erupted, spreading across the battlefield like a rolling fog. "Stay behind me," he ordered. They ran. The middle, fire and flesh. Halfway across, the Dominion spotted them. Bolts of searing plasma tore through the smoke, sizzling against the ground. Elias felt the heat whip past his face. He fired back on the move 3 shots, 4. One drone spiraled down in flames but more circled in. The girl stumbled. Without thinking, Elias grabbed her arm and hauled her upright, never breaking stride. His lungs burned, and each jolt of his steps made the wound in his side flare like fire, but he kept going. They were 10 meters from the tunnel entrance when the ground in front of them exploded. A Dominion strike trooper emerged from the crater, towering, armored in black plates that shimmered with red energy. Its weapon charged with a shriek of power. Elias didn't think. He shoved the girl down, turned, and fired point-blank. The trooper staggered but didn't fall. Its return blast hit Elias square in the chest. The impact ripped through him, armor shattering, flesh tearing. Pain like he'd never known coursed through his body. His knees buckled, and for a heartbeat, he thought that was the end. But then he saw the girl's face, eyes wide with horror, her small frame shaking beneath his shadow. And Elias Cade, stubborn deathworlder of Earth, refused. With the last strength he had, he lunged forward, slamming into the trooper, driving his combat knife between its armored plates. The Dominion soldier shrieked, sparks and ichor bursting from the wound. Elias twisted, wrenched, and the enemy collapsed with a metallic crash. He stood, swaying, blood running freely down his torso. "Move," he rasped to the girl. "Now!" She scrambled to the tunnel entrance, tears streaking down her dust-stained cheeks. Shelter in the dark. Inside the tunnel, the air was damp and stale. They collapsed against the wall, Elias clutching his chest, the girl pressing trembling hands over his wound. Why?" she whispered. "You shielded me. That blast should have killed me." Elias gave a half-smile through bloodied lips. "Yeah, it tried." Her eyes glistened with tears. "You don't even know me. Why would you?" "Because I'm human." He met her gaze, voice steady despite the pain. "Where I'm from, we don't leave kids to die. Not on my watch." She stared at him for a long moment, as if trying to understand the strange, reckless logic of his species. Then slowly she nodded. "My name is Lyra," she whispered. "Elias," he said. "And you're gonna make it, Lyra. That's a promise." The final push. Hours passed in the tunnel. Elias drifted in and out of consciousness, his body failing, but every time Lyra's panicked voice pulled him back. She bound his wounds with scraps of fabric, tried to cool his fever with water from a cracked canteen. Outside, the Dominion hunted. The tunnel shook with distant blasts. Finally, Lyra shook him awake. "They're coming. I can hear them." Elias forced his eyes open. He knew he couldn't fight anymore, not alone. But maybe, just maybe, he could buy her enough time. He pressed his rifle into her hands. "You remember what I showed you? Safety off point squeeze. Don't hesitate." Her hands trembled. "I can't." "Yes, you can." His voice hardened. "You're Thalvery. Your people need survivors. Be one." The footsteps grew closer. Dominion voices echoed through the tunnel. Elias staggered to his feet, planting himself between Lyra and the entrance. His vision blurred, every heartbeat thundering in his ears. He didn't care. He would stand. He would fight. He would shield her again, even if it meant nothing was left of him. The first trooper appeared in the tunnel mouth. Elias roared, firing his last magazine in a storm of fury, cutting down 1, 2, 3 before the rifle clicked empty. Plasma fire ripped into him, hurling him back against the wall. His body screamed in agony, but he laughed, a ragged, defiant laugh that echoed through the stone. "Come on then," he spat blood. "You'll have to kill me to touch her." And then, from the far side of the tunnel, came the rumble of engines. Lights blazed, Alliance reinforcements, armored vehicles crashing through the rubble. Gunfire filled the air as Dominion troops were shredded in the crossfire. Elias collapsed, barely aware of strong hands hauling him up, medics shouting, Lyra's voice crying his name. The ending, a promise kept. When Elias woke, he was aboard a medship, chest wrapped in layers of bandages, machines keeping him alive. Lyra sat beside him, clutching his hand. "You're awake," she breathed, relief flooding her face. "Still here," he croaked.